Welcome to episode number one of the Athlete Life podcast. I am here with Campbell left-handed pitcher Cassiti Baroni, and I'm excited to hear her story of how she transferred and everything that came with it. So welcome. I'm not sure if I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So my first question is, what was your recruiting process like for you towards the end of the high school year?
Okay, so in high school, I didn't have many offers. The recruiting process for me in high school was pretty hard. I definitely would say COVID made a huge impact on that. It really took away a lot from the girls that were trying to be recruited. So when COVID hit, I was like freshman, sophomore, and my recruiting opened up in my junior year. So we all did, my whole class had a lot taken away from us. So going into my junior year, I didn't get anything for the first year. I didn't get my first offer until the beginning of my senior year. I want to say it was like August or September. I only got two. I got one from MVSU, and then I got the other one from Morehead State, and I took the one from Morehead State within the first, I don't know, I would say it was like a week. They made my offer, and I took it that week. But it was hard. There wasn't much. The transfer portal had just come into effect, and COVID played a really huge part of it. So it was really rough. I'll give it that. Your eligibility to talk to coaches opened on September 1st of your junior year, and then you're watching all of your friends commit, and you haven't even gotten a single call from from a college coach. So it's hard. It's definitely a hard thing to deal with, but I made it through. I'm glad. So.
Uh, my next question is, what colleges did you have in contact during your senior year of high school?
Going into my senior year, I was in contact with some. Cal Baptist was one I was in contact with pretty frequently. And that's really the only one I can really say that I was in contact with. Loyola Chicago emailed me my first day that my recruiting process was open. And then nothing really ever went from there. And then, like I said, the only two other ones were Mississippi Valley and Morehead State. So.
How did you like the experience playing at Morehead?
Um, it was, I always call it character development. It was a very interesting time. Whenever anyone asks me this question, I always say that everyone has their own story. All the girls on the team, they all had different things happen, but overall playing wise, it was rough. There was definitely some things that shouldn't have happened that did. Yeah, it was really hard. It really played a huge factor into why I decided to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Was it things like off the field or just the way the season went?
um, it was a combination of both, I would say. A lot of stuff that happened non-game time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff that would happen during practices. We had some issues with the pitchers getting hurt and injuries not being dealt with very well.
Mm-hmm.
And, the only people that can really tell you how your body feels is yourself. Only you know how your body feels. And there was a lot of instances where, like, the pitchers really didn't feel like we were getting listened to in that sense. So there's just some things with that. There was a situation where I got sick during a game day, and it was handled very poorly. So just those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. What was talking about positive thing?
Yeah,
What was your favorite memory playing at Morehead?
playing at Morehead. Oh gosh. Let's think about that. Okay. One that really sticks out in my head, I was actually injured. I was in a back brace for a month, so this isn't even my own memory. It's just a memory I have of another girl. Addie Stem is another pitcher that we had, and me and her were like this. We are super close, and I remember her first collegiate start, and I thought it was the best thing ever. And I was like constantly hugging her throughout the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is your first college start. So that was definitely one of my favorites. I was injured for all of preseason, so I really learned how to find joy in my teammates' successes. So that was a really big one. That was one of the first memorable things for me at Morehead.
What is a day like for you during the off season and like to this day during the summer?
What does my off season look like?
Yeah.
I definitely still lift 3 days a week. When I first got back, I took a few weeks off, just let my body rest. I was injured for a little bit. And it was a long season. We played 50 something games. So giving yourself a few weeks to rest is totally okay. I know a lot of athletes feel like, no, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep going. But if you keep going and you keep injuring your body, then you're not getting yourself anywhere. And one of the things that my pitching coach at Morehead did really talk about a lot was like being really strategic of where you peak, like when you're at your absolute best and when can you get yourself to that at the right point of the season. So going full force in summer isn't necessarily going to be beneficial to you if you're like going to be injured through all of fall and you can't hit your peak during season. So I took off, took my bullpens really light. Now I'm kind of back in the swing of things. I'll lift 3 days a week, and then throw a few bullpens a week. Really trying to get back into my spin. More more to say. That's really the biggest focus right now for the off season. But those are the really two biggest things for me. My workouts are typically like an hour and a half cardio lift, and then about an hour and a half bullpen. So
My next question is, what unique skill set did you bring on the softball field?
I okay, so I'm a lefty and I'm not very big. I'm 5'4". So my biggest thing that I really rely on is my spin. I'm not that girl that's gonna go up there and blow 68 by someone. Like that's just not I don't have the facilities for that whatsoever. So my spin, I rely on my spin so much and my movement and where I can place the ball. So my spin and my placing is really huge for me. Um, that's always been my biggest thing. I'm a ground ball pitcher. I don't go out there and strike out 13 girls a game. I'm the type of girl that's going to go out there and give the ball to their defense. So that's the biggest thing for me.
What type of pitch do you like most?
Um, this is it always fluctuates for me. I can tell you that I don't like my rise ball. I can tell, but when it comes to the rest of them, my screw and my drop kind of sit consistently with each other.
Mhm.
I'm really confident in throwing that screwball because I'm a lefty. It's going to go to outside to a right-handed hitter, so I'm really confident in putting that outside to a righty, and then throwing my drop in to a righty. That's really one of the biggest things for me when it comes to lefty slappers. I love throwing that drop on the outside corner for them, trying to get them to chase that, a few balls off the plate. That's one of my biggest things. So I'd say those two sit very close together, and then a strong second would be my changeup right under that. You got to keep your speed changing and put some off speed in there to keep them on their toes. So
What do you like to do in your free time away from the softball field?
well, in Moorhead, there wasn't really much to do. It was a very small town.
Mhm.
There wasn't that much. We had a lake and that was really it. But, now that I'm home outside of softball, I'm just really, enjoying time with my friends, with my family, going to the river a lot, just that kind of stuff. I live on the beach. So, of course, going to the beach all the time and just really taking time for myself. I'm also coaching a 14U Batbuster team. It's a travel team out of San Ramon, that kind of area in California. So I'm doing that on the weekends, which I absolutely love. I love giving back to the generation under me because, they're the ones that are going to come in and take my spot. So, I love doing that kind of stuff. So,
Are you a baseball fan?
I am.
What team do you like?
San Francisco Giants.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I'm a Phillies fan.
Are you a Phillies fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been doing well.
Yeah,
Kind of.
they are they keep going up and down with the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they've been
But
pretty good years.
I really like how they're uh making the season turning out to be
Yeah.
definitely much better than last season.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Uh, what current or former Division One player do you compare your softball game to?
That's a really hard question. Um, I don't really, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really compare me to really anyone. Which I'm I don't know. I was told once that my spin rate on my drop looks like Danielle O'Toole's. And that is really like the only thing I've ever like heard. But I don't really compare myself to anyone. I know that the division and the conference that I'm in when I played at Morehead, we were a really low conference for Division One. So like comparing me to someone in a bigger division isn't really like it's
Mhm.
not necessarily logical in my mind. But I'm really honestly, and I think I don't really compare myself to anyone is because I'm still trying to figure myself out at this point. Freshman year was rough for me going through injuries and all that kind of stuff. So there are times where I'm like, gosh, I don't even know what kind of pitcher I am. You know what I mean? But and then other times I'm like, yeah, I'm still dominant. Like I'm still the badass girl I was when I was in high school. So it really fluctuates. I think one of the biggest things for athletes honestly is like not comparing yourself to anyone else. And that was something that, me and my girls really talk about is like when you're comparing yourself to other people, you're going to send your head down a spiral because if you're not doing as well or like someone's doing better, it's not necessarily good for your mental. So honestly, it's something I never really talked about and I don't know if I will. Try to think about that kind of stuff. So yeah.
H- how do you feel now uh, to adjusting yourself to a brand new team and campus? And do you feel like nervous or do you feel like you're confident in the adjustment?
Um, I would say it's a good 50-50. When you go into a new spot, like you're gonna be nervous. When I entered the transfer portal, I was like, ugh, I'm gonna go into another program and I'm gonna have to meet everybody and I'm gonna have to build relationships again. And it's gonna be exactly like it was my freshman year. So that part I am a little bit nervous about, going into a new team that's been together for a while and just that kind of stuff. But I am confident going in. I have met some of the girls. They seem really great. My coaches seem like they build a really great environment for their girls. So I am really excited for that. I don't necessarily know where I'll fall into the pitching rotation. Our ace just transferred actually. So I honestly don't even know if my coaches know how the pitching rotation is going to look. But
Mhm.
going in to each season, everything always changes and everything is always different. So most coaches will keep an open mindset and be like, all spots are up for grabs. Like, show me what you got, and then we'll figure it out coming into season. So I'm excited to get to work. I'm excited to go in the fall and really start learning from my coaches and getting the feel of them and their coaching style and that kind of stuff. So
My last question is, what are your thoughts on the conference as a whole and going into next season? What is your like thoughts on everything?
So the CAA obviously is a conference that is on the completely other side of the coast than I grew up on. So it's not a conference that I'm necessarily really familiar with. I could probably only list you a handful of teams that are in that conference. It's just, so far away. I'm not familiar with it. But I do know that Campbell has taken championships in their previous conference. So we just did a conference move from the Big South to the CAA. So in the Big South, they were super dominant. They were winning conference championships. They were winning, all that kind of stuff, winning tournament. I think coming into a new conference was definitely hard. I can tell you it was hard for all of the teams. Me and my coaches just, had a conversation about that and was like, a lot of the teams struggled a little bit going into a new conference because that's a really hard change. So, but they handled it really well. They were first in their conference. We did not win conference tournament, but we were still first ranked. So I think going into next season, I think we're projected pretty high to pull out some wins here and go into that conference tournament with guns blazing. And I think that's what Coach Prater really wants. She's in it to win it, and she's very clear about that. She wants girls that are going to come in there and win. And that's exactly what we want to do. So I'm very optimistic and really looking forward to this next season and seeing what's going to come out of it.
I'll definitely be following everything next season, and I'll definitely support you in any way I can, and I'll definitely be in touch with you.
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yep, no problem.